live.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Signals from the Frontline, your every Wednesday live broadcast brought to you here by Frontline Gaming. We are your hosts, Kicker, the Chief of Serial, and the Sigilite of FLG, and I am Seth, the Mad Doc, your competitive correspondent. Kicker, what have you been up to, buddy?
Dude, let's get a little geeky real fast. Halo, that was the first game that made me really. Oh no, GoldenEye was the first like video game that really made me happy. And I saw and you can see it too, the first episode of the new Halo show. And apparently our guest wasn't a fan, and he'll be coming on later on. But I truly enjoyed it.
He was literally talking about this right before we went to air, and I had to tell him to shut up. And the first thing he talks about, Halo.
I mean, come on, dude. Like I spent so many hours. I did not get educated in high school because that was all that time was spent playing a video game. But anyway, the first episode is free and it is just pure, at least the first 10 minutes, which is what I watched, was just a pure action. And then once he started like talking and having real dialogue, I did turn it off. But the action it was very entertaining and I felt very true to the video game. Also, on a more serious and important note, guys, I did get some hobby work done. Let's pull that beautiful image in, Mr. Dickey, our tech priest. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I've been working on my beautiful, weird converted Eldar tree people. I don't know, and I'm very proud of them. There, boom, look at that. So they're still very much a work in progress. If you are listening to our podcast, you should be watching our podcast every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our chat is live. Last week was one of the largest chats we've ever had for the entire network. So boom, be part of that. And you can also watch our content like our hobby progress. So what do you think of those
Kicker, does that mean that our chat was better than Grimm's chat?
Ooh, shots fired. And yes,
I think it does mean
that is the metric.
Those are looking good, man. Are you using like contrast paints for those?
Okay, so I am using contrast paints. These are the first times I've ever used contrast paints. And the reason I wanted to try these conversions was really because I wanted to give contrast paint a shot. And I'm totally floored. Like it works well, man. It works well for this organic kind of, natural looking stuff. I tried a few things before I did these models, like just testing them out on, and it just was not giving me a result I liked. But on these Sylvaneth tree Wraith Guard models that I've converted on all like the leaves and stuff, it looks really, really awesome. Seth, what are you up to? You're still rocking your Tau. I know you've been painting.
I plowed through the rest of the Tau that I needed to paint. So I finished a commander, like 4 more drones, and then like a pile of magnetized weapons.
Are you magnetizing all your weapons?
Yeah, I'm obsessive
that is
like
dedication.
that. I can't glue weapons on. I magnetize them. There was a point where I magnetized all my orcs too. That's insanity. Don't stop. Just stop.
Wow.
But at least for like crisis suits and stuff, I have magnetized them. And then kind of once I got that done, a certain tech priest has really been telling me I should try out Elden Ring. So I did.
You're playing it too.
And I'm like probably 40, 50 hours in. It's consuming a lot
fish
of my
sticks, Batman. 50
It's really
hours?
good. It's good. It's hard, but it's good. So I'm enjoying it. But that's what I've been up to. I haven't watched the new episode of The Exodite, but I'm excited to see that because I have been enjoying that series. So
and everyone's been talking about it. I no spoilers on our show, but apparently the most recent episode was one for the books. So yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have to watch it now. So
yeah, you got to.
Kicker.
Let's do it.
Bring us into the industry news.
All right. We're not going to spend too much time on this stuff, but the NIDs are getting all their pre-orders this Saturday. Woohoo. You're getting your codex. Finally, you're getting the dice, the data cards, all the fun stuff. The new box, the new mini. That's like the parasite organism thing. I don't know.
Parasite of annoying, fly around and steal your objectives with an obstacle like that guy. Yeah.
So NIDs are finally getting their time to shine. We will, if you're a competitive player, expect to see NIDs on the tables in about 2 weeks.
I have played against some folks that have copies of the rules, and I can tell you they are quite strong, Kicker.
Like, are we talking about Custodi Tau strong or really? Wow. Okay, so buckle up, people.
Yeah, they're going to be a thing.
So we've got NIDs, but who cares about NIDs when we can be talking about squats? It's official. I mean, this is something we've all been quiet and rumors.
I think Tech Priest Dickey here might have a slightly out of date image of the Space Dwarves.
Is that Is that from like 1984? What is that? Jeez. It is Space Dwarves.
But I'm excited for them, man. We were talking about them before we got on air. What are they calling them now? Legion of
Vultan.
Legion of Squats. Got it.
Legion
Yeah,
of
Legion.
something. I can't remember.
Legion of I can't remember.
I think
Um,
squats is a derogatory term, maybe in some cultures. I have no idea.
it might
But
very well be. Someone in chat save me what they name these things.
yeah, if you're in chat,
But
please correct us. Yeah.
so I was intrigued. I've never really they were gone by the time I played in like third edition.
Mhm.
They weren't a thing anymore. So I'm interested to see kind of where they're going to end up in the hierarchy of the fluff. Like, are they going to be Legion of Voltan? Thank you, Joel.
There,
Legion of
there we
Voltan.
go. Legion of Voltan.
Quiet, tech pretty sticky. Quiet. Um, I mean, they talked about them being like loosely associated with the Imperium, but not really. So I really don't want them to be another Imperial faction because let's face it, there's plenty of those.
Do you
Uh,
think they're going to bring in a new rule, which is basically allies? So not part of the Imperium, but they can be allied in, kind of like old seventh and eighth.
No,
Like you can
don't
get some penalties.
don't do
No,
that.
no. Okay, okay.
This is
You don't think they're
this
going to
is
reopen it?
that is the gateway drug to
Okay.
7th edition Riptides running around with Space Marines. Please don't.
Well,
Please
what
no,
if they
no,
just have
no.
certain factions like
Kicker,
these?
no,
Okay,
no,
okay, okay, okay.
no.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right.
That is a gateway drug. That way leads only to pain and suffering.
All right.
Do you
Well,
want
with
me
all
to
that
tell you
said,
about when I used to run my orcs with my
yeah,
Tau
yeah, yeah.
in
With
6th edition? Yeah,
yeah,
okay. Yeah,
no,
there we go.
let's not do that. Okay, so let's not do that. The model, though, the one and only model that has officially fully been revealed, is a gorgeous model. He has all the cool gear on him. There's like a carabiner there and stuff. I'm excited for this guy. Seth, let's talk really quickly on the NIDS rules. There's been some rules that have been released formally that we can discuss about in the open,
Mhm.
and it's pretty clear the power creep is real. You're just talking about a game you played recently, and that you're saying this book is rough. In a brief like 1 minute, like how rough is it? Do you think the power creep is just what we have to accept, and that after the NIDS book, the next book is even going to be more rough and tough, or where are we at?
I mean, they are definitely right now, as the way the rules stand, with what folks have been able to get their hands on, I would put them on par with the last 3 codexes,
Okay,
Eldar, Custodes, and Tau. So they are certainly that power level, and all 3 of those have been very concerning with their power level, with their win rates, and the number of top fours and podiums that we've seen with those armies. So that is definitely a concern. There's some argument to be said that the balance issues we're running into right now is because all of these rules maybe weren't written at the same time, but were written in quick succession so that they think that, okay, all of these are balanced against each other.
yeah,
And the problem becomes because of the release rate, we hammer down on something that's doing too well, we nerf it. And then the next book comes out and it doesn't have those other strong books to counterbalance it.
yeah,
So there is some argument for reversing a lot of the nerfs we've seen. I
because
think
orcs were nerfed pretty brutally,
yeah,
and yeah.
orcs have been nerfed, admech's been nerfed,
Mhm.
sisters have been nerfed. Drukhari got like 3 nerfs, or
Yeah.
they just keep smacking Drukhari around. Um, I think that is certainly a thing. They probably need to remove some of those restrictions and let those armies back up to compete with these bigger and better armies. But there are some books out there, Kicker, that haven't seen significant nerfs and never really have performed at a high level. You're
Yeah,
talking like Death Guard,
yeah.
Dark Angels, Space Marines.
Space Wolves.
Yeah, I mean Space Wolves. I'm just
Yeah,
lumping
yeah,
all
Space
Space
Marines. Are-
Marines
Yeah, yeah.
together. Um,
Necrons were never even that.
Necrons
You know.
Necrons got a little buff when they got their core stuff, so
Yeah.
we'll leave that to a side. But and we'll talk more about the balanced data
Yeah,
slate. It's
which
coming
is
next
coming.
week.
Yeah.
I literally have it in my notes, folks, for
Okay.
Seth's soapbox here. Kicker
So
hasn't
let's
read the
jump down to
notes.
that in a few minutes. Really
Yeah.
fast, we'll talk about Frontline Gaming products, guys. We do have the color terrain that you love. You've been asking for.
Yes.
Every
Yes.
Monday it gets released. This Monday we released a full set of orc terrain, and the skins are different. So I don't know the exact skin, like the I guess the color palette we use for this particular orc set. I'm sure you checked it out, Seth, right?
I already ordered it.
Oh, you already
That's
ordered.
it.
Okay, boom,
Yeah.
boom. There you go. There you
I,
go.
I yeah, I was like,
But they are
okay,
done in a
in the cart.
limited quantity. We're only doing a few at a time, and it's that week's color choice. And then come next week, we got a different color, a different set. So if you want that set, order it Monday, because when it's sold out, and we won't be reproducing them in bulk again for a few months until we get our operation back up and running in full, just because we're trying to catch up with all the demand. Number two, really important, there's a brand new FLG mat. Woohoo! New
Woohoo!
world. This awesome new mat brings to the tabletop to life. If you want to brings the tabletop to life. If you want to grab one of this limited release of the full color FLG terrain orc set, it pairs perfectly with it. So if you get the orc set that's on sale right now, it goes really cool with this brand new in the mat mats called New World. I know we don't have the most creative names for mats, but that's okay.
I
Deal with it.
enjoy that name because it makes me immediately go into Aladdin,
Oh,
a
okay,
whole new
okay,
world.
there you go, and that's a very happy place to go to. All right, I love it, I love it, I love
Yeah.
it. Oh,
Can I
yeah, and this
ride a
mat
mat like a flying magic carpet?
all right, I see our next
I need a large group of gamers. I mean, a large group. I'm a big man, guys, to carry me around on a mat at the next event.
Oh, I well, you can get if you want this New World mat, you can get it. You can ride around on it like a carpet if you want, Seth. And for this week and this week only, you can get it at 15% off. So woohoo.
Nice.
All right, moving on right down to the event headlines, guys. We have a lot of events hitting, showing up. Let's start off with the ACO. ACO is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. That's the Atlantic City Open happening in June. We've added Marvel Crisis Protocol. We've added Armada. 40K has gotten very, very, very large. We had no doubt 40K was going to be a nice major event. Tom, by the way, we have a winner for our limo raffle. This was Tom A. I don't want to say his last name on air, but Tom won a limo ride in our raffle from last week. So Tom is getting picked up from the airport and driven to the ACO venue, courtesy of Frontline Gaming on a limo transfer.
Woo-woo.
Now, next week we've got a whole nother raffle, and this one, Tom, you can enter this one too, but next week is way better. So stay tuned. Look at the Frontline Gaming community group page on Facebook for the full details, or follow our newsletter. But yeah, you definitely want to enter into the raffle for next week's, especially if you're going to ACO. Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. Seth, is
Yeah.
okay if I just kind of say it? No one else knows it yet, but I think this is our show. We can say whatever the hell we want, right? Let's do it.
Yeah. I mean, what are we saying?
We're giving out I'm going to just announce the raffle we're doing next week. So
Yeah.
it's a free stay. So you can stay at the resort for
Nice.
free for the entire weekend. And it includes
Now,
a dinner.
yeah, I was like, Kicker, is that just hotel or is
It's food for one night's meal. Or I guess you could break it up if you want. It's basically a dollar amount you can spend at a restaurant on site.
all right?
And then you have your lodging covered full. So basically, yeah,
Nice. Yeah,
it's a nice deal. This is a really nice resort. If
it
you're
is.
gonna get a
It is.
free night stay or a free weekend stay at some place, this is the place.
Yeah.
So look for our Facebook post later this week or next week
Next
to
week.
enter in for that. And let's jump into BAO, guys. Vanguard Tactics will be teaching a workshop at the BAO. Yes, Stephen Box of Vanguard Tactics will be teaching a workshop Thursday night. This is in May. This is Memorial Day weekend in May. So that Thursday night before the event, you can show up, hang out with Stephen Box for 4 hours, learn all the stuff. His event, his workshop did sell out at the LVO. So, I don't know if this one's going to sell out, but the point is that if you're interested, get your ticket before it does sell out, because he is going to limit the capacity more
I
for
didn't
BAO.
remember it was Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend is like May 24th or something. I don't know.
Well, but that would mean one less day of vacation I need to take.
There you go. Boom. I think that's why we do this, right? I don't know.
That would make a lot of sense.
This is the longest running Frontline Gaming event period. So I just kind of I'm stepping right into it. I have, as the event manager for this one, I have barely anything to do because it's just all on autopilot at this point.
That's good to hear, man.
Yeah, dude, I love it. Oh, hey, let's announce the judges for this. Guess what? The judges for the BAO is going to be the one and only Adam Solis and his assistant judge, Keith French. These guys.
I have heard Adam can be very judgmental.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he can be, but only in the best way possible. And Keith is quickly becoming a veteran FLG judge. We also got Sheldon running Kill Team and John running Age of Sigmar.
All right.
And let's talk about Cruise Hammer really fast, guys. Cruise Hammer, this is I don't know. I have to recommend
It's a Warhammer vacation.
It's a Warhammer vacation. I'm learning more and more about this. I had a really good conference call yesterday with some of the guys running it on the back end. Frontline Gaming kind of helps on one side. We work with a couple other guys that have been doing this for years and that know more about the whole cruise. And first of all, the cruise is awesome. You're going to get to stay at 3 different ports. Whenever we're at port, you're not playing. You're hanging out, in the Caribbean or in Mexico, wherever we're at. But I wanted to let you guys know that there are 2 events basically happening at Cruise Hammer. There's the Invitational and there's the Open. So the Invitational is only the people that I believe are in the top 50 ITC players can participate in the Invitational, and then the Open is open to all. More information on the Cruise Hammer website. Guys, let's jump into what's happening on the FLGN. Seth, when you take it from here, man?
All right. Grim After Dark, our the redheaded stepchild of the network.
Those assholes.
They had on Mike Pestilence to talk chaos.
Yeah.
Which was, cool. Awesome. All right. Chapter Tactics we don't think actually aired this week because they got stood up.
No, but they will air next week. I promise.
They will air next week.
Really
Okay.
good host, a guest. Guest.
All right. Thursday show, they're going to cover events. Specifically, want to know they're covering is the Battle to End Alzheimer's, which is actually where yours truly will be this weekend.
Oh, really? Wait, you're going to go play that?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yep. And then War Games Live will actually be there too. So you
Oh.
can check out the event there on War Games Live and see all the fun. It's not a big event. I mean, it's got a fair number of players. Like, didn't do the math, but I think it's like over 50 or 60 players. It's just a 5-round event. So it's not like super, 9-round kill yourself major. But it's a good cause. Everything raised at the event goes to a foundation for the research for Alzheimer's. So
Sweet.
it'll be a good time. They're raffling off the ability to pie certain people. I've heard rumors of bounties that are going to be made available. So it should be a good time. So
Yeah, and the guy
looking forward to it.
what store is it at, Seth?
It's out of Table and Towers,
That's it.
which is Anthony Birdsong's store. Anthony's not actually running this event. A different individual, JC Watts, is the one putting this event on. He's actually a former, once upon a time when I lived in Baltimore, he's on the team that I was on in Baltimore. So I know him. He's a good guy. He poked me about going to the event, and then I was like, I mean, like, I do have some vacation time and some air. And then I was like, and then I do have some airline credit that I have left over. And then I was like, and I have friends in Baltimore that I could stay with.
There you go.
Yeah, so it lined up. So I'm going to do it. So looking forward to it. But let's get on to our main segment tonight. The reason I think a fair number of folks are here, we are going to bring on Adam Solis. He, as you know, is an FLG staff judge, and he is here this week to talk to us about the new 2022 ITC season rules.
Hey, Mr. Dickey, let's bring him in. There he is. There is Adam
Boom.
Solis.
Hello,
hey,
everybody.
Good to see you, man. It's been like forever. I usually see you once a month at least, and because we haven't had an event this month, I really miss you. I want you to hold my hand. Okay.
I also miss eating fried dough with you. Kicker doesn't partake in the fried dough, folks.
Sorry, yeah, the beignets and donuts. Well, Adam, I'm going to let Seth just spearhead this because I mean we've already asked your favorite cereal previously as a requirement for being on the show. But do you want to fill people in? What is your favorite sugary breakfast cereal? Because this is a requirement to be answered for every.
We already discussed. I'm not supposed to be having sugary breakfast cereals.
I know, but okay, fine. We'll just make. Don't say granola, please. Don't say granola
with yogurt.
Yeah, granola with yogurt. Okay, well, moving right into the meat of the interview, ruined. Seth, take it away with the importance.
I like how I was taking it away, and then you were like, "Let's derail this conversation."
Well,
with cereal.
I saw in my note like ask cereal, and then I realized, oh wait, he already answered.
Where? It's not in the notes.
I have my post-it notes here, so we have like multiple levels of post. I'm still using pads of paper here because I am old school, right? Like this.
There's show notes, and then there's kicker notes.
Yeah,
apparently.
This is it.
Adam,
right, Seth,
let's just jump right into this. I hear that there's been a change to the regional rep system and the tokening process, which for folks at home who don't run events, tokening is how you get your event into BCP and get your points added into the ITC. And those in the past were given out by regional reps. What's happening now?
So one of the changes was that they basically changed how the regional reps work and how a tournament gets their token. So before they would contact, if they didn't get it through BCP, they would contact the regional rep, and the rep would generate the token or approve the token, whatever that needed to get done. Now everything goes through one email address, which I don't have off the top of my head right now.
I believe it's like ITC tokens.
Yeah, I can look it up. But now instead of contacting the regional rep, everybody, no matter where you're at, you just go through you just send your email requesting the token. You can still generate it through BCP, which is probably the preferred method because it takes out the middleman essentially.
And then it gets approved by the email.
And then the new people, then the people approving the tokens or processing the tokens process them. They've been fairly quick about it.
Yeah.
So
I've had no one complain yet. I mean, which is great. But having it all centralized like this, it really does make it.
You said no one complained live on air.
Oh, no. I jinxed it.
I'm kidding. There's been plenty of complaints.
Okay. Wait, no, not good. I don't know what to say.
So for the regional reps though, they're still a valuable resource when you're starting out as a TO. Or if you have any questions about just how things are done in the ITC or how a tournament or how you should handle a certain situation, things like that, you can still contact your regional reps to talk to them about it, and they can help you with things like that. So, and the email address for those that are wondering is ITC event tokens at frontlinegaming.org.
Thank you so much, Adam.
The regional reps, are they? I remember in the past they were kind of the first point of contact for the chain of command. If there was an issue at an event that needed to be reported to the ITC, are they still that kind of first point of contact?
Yes and no. You can go to them, but you can also send an email to the address I just mentioned. And,
Okay.
Especially when it comes to like tokens and things like that. If you have issues, let's say just like player issues or event issues, things like that, it's probably better to talk to the rep because you get a more immediate response.
And the reps know the region specifically, right?
Yeah.
Like they're really they're local. You instead of just like emailing somebody, you could probably meet them at your local store and talk to them. They're really good members of the community.
They are. It is a volunteer organization, and I know the people that have been doing it for a while are very committed to seeing the community grow, and so we can't do that without folks like them.
Yeah.
League results. That's what I have next on our bullet points. So how have leagues changed?
So one of the changes is they've changed how you report the league. Where before there was like a form you could fill out and you could report your league, because BCP is not very conducive to running a league.
Mm-hmm.
It's more for actual tournament play.
Yeah.
We do have a workaround right now, and you can find that info. I believe it's on the Frontline website.
I want to say yes, but I don't want to lie. I'm pretty sure there's a link to it on the website, but
it's not a link. There's an article about about how the league, what they call it, a workaround, and it's basically just creating the league inside BCP, and giving everybody. It goes into detail how to do it. It's kind of straightforward. It's a little more work involved in getting it reported, but at least leagues are able to report their scores and still count towards ITC.
And guys, we really do encourage more leagues. I mean, it's a great way to keep the community active in between major tournaments. And
I even hear that Adam has been playing in a long-running league.
Adam, how you doing in your league,
came in
man?
second place in the most recent round of his league.
Well, the format we use is a bit different. It's a pod system, and the way it works is you have X amount of players. Let's just say we have 20 players. You split them into pods of whatever number you want. Usually we split them into about 7 or 8 in each pod. You start with pod 1, which are nominally the best players in the league, and then going down to the lowest pod. And you only play the people in your pod. So the idea is that you're supposed to be playing people of similar skill level.
Yeah.
So if you win your pod, the next season, you move up to the next pod up. So if you're in pod 3, like I was in pod 3, and then I came in second, and first and second move up a pod. So then I went into pod 2.
That's a really cool system.
Mm-hmm. And then, but if you don't do well, you drop a pod. So a lot of times you're moving between like 2 or 3 different pods, depending what army you're playing and how you're doing. So now I was supposed to be in pod 1, but I'm taking the season off. So I'll probably stay in pod 2 next season. But it's good practice. It's really good for playing, ideally, people of your own skill level.
Yeah. I love that, dude. That seems like such a perfect setup right there. I really wish we had a league.
It would work really well for someone that gets one guaranteed, day a week to go play games.
All right. So
kicker.
I get 1 day a week, man. I get 1 day.
Yeah, you play in our league. You play 5 games over 6 weeks, and
cool.
you just schedule. You get a set opponent, but you play whenever you can.
Yeah. So when you disappear to Yellowstone randomly for 1 week, you're good, man. You still can finish your league out.
Sounds like a dream, man. That sounds like a dream.
If like full disclosure, Adam and in the background, Tech Priest Dicky, if next week Adam, we were getting ready to set up, and then Kicker was like, by the way, guys, I'm out. I'm in Yellowstone. None of us would be surprised.
I'm like going and hanging out with Bison.
0%.
Just deal with it.
Yeah. So anyway. Like we have about 30, or on average, 25 to 30 players. The league in San Diego, which used to be, I think it's still run by Keith Berry. Mm-hmm. That's where we took the format from. They have almost like 80 players.
Oh, cool. Cool.
That's cool. Anyway, let's get back to the ITC stuff. The big news, the exciting thing,
news,
there's
yes.
a new tournament scoring.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the past, we have had issues with tournament organizers kind of fudging the numbers so they can hit certain goals.
Explain just to refresh people that may not be familiar with the previous, I guess, benchmarks that we tried to hit.
So we had RTT, which is, I think minimum was 6, I believe, and it scales up to whatever number, but it was only a 1-day event.
Yeah, 3 rounds.
It can be more than 3, but it's basically a 1-day event.
Okay.
3 to 4. You can probably do 4 rounds if you want like a true undefeated. Then there was GT, which is, it has to be a 2-day event. Minimum is 28 players at the start of the first round. So as long as you hit 28, you were considered a GT. And then after that was a major GT, which is 58 players. And then after that was super major, which was usually around 100 players or more. But super major wasn't really a thing.
And you could see how people would be incentivized, TOs would be incentivized to say
Yeah.
they hit that benchmark of 56 players. So suddenly their GT became a major.
And
A major,
in the
yeah.
past,
So
there was a requirement for scoring your 6 scores for the season. Only 3 of them could be RTTs. The other 3 had to be GTs and majors.
Right.
And in the much further past, there was actually a score multiplier for those.
Yes. And so like, for instance, for me, for last year, I played in a bunch of RTTs and 1 GT, but I didn't play in a major. So I only got 5 out of my 6 scores.
All right.
So with all this being said, then what is the new format so that people aren't, TOs are incentivized to pad their numbers and people don't have to scramble to hit a GT or a major and then RTTs?
So the new scoring only basically is concerned about how many players are playing and how many rounds are played. They don't care about hitting a benchmark. They don't care about 28 or 56 or super major status or anything like that. So all that matters is how many players are at the start of the first round and how many rounds you actually play.
Yeah. So that's going to determine the scaling.
That'll determine your score. That's part of the formula, which even I don't know what the formula is.
So do we still use the term? I mean, should we be trying to GT and major and RTT? Are those still valid terms now?
I think they communicate a lot of important things.
Yeah. If something's an RTT, you know it's going to be 1 day. If something says GT or major or super major, you know it's at least 2 days, maybe even 3. I mean, it's all in the packet, or it should be, but it gives you like a general idea.
Yeah, and also gives you an idea of scale. Yeah. You know, because if I'm signing up for a GT, I'm expecting somewhere between probably 30 and 50 players. If I'm signing up for a major, I'm probably expecting north of that. Yeah. Do we still need to get a major and some GTs in to get our 6 scores, or can we get all 6 scores with RTTs now?
So now you can just get all 6 scores from RTT. So if you only go to RTTs, you can't make a bigger tournament for whatever reason. All your 6 scores will come from the RTTs now.
So they're obviously, if you want to compete at the top end for faction awards or for team scores or for ITC overall ranks, you want to go to those bigger events and get those bigger score multipliers. But there is no, lack of a better term, gatekeeping on players that can't make it to those larger events from completing their 6 scores for the season.
Yeah, correct.
Cool. All right. Cool. All right. Speaking of teams, you see how I segued that?
Well done.
I hear that there are some changes to team scoring as well.
So in previous years, we've noticed, or at least I've noticed, a trend of some players giving their scores to other teams, more than one team. And it's, they give their big score to their main team, and then they may give a score that may not help their team to a different team.
All right.
So which really doesn't properly reflect the achievement of each of those other teams, because they're borrowing from another player that has nothing to do with their team except maybe their friend. They have friends on the team or something.
Or you don't see that in other. You don't see that in any other organized.
Yeah.
You're not.
Well, there's that too.
You know what? This week, I really don't think I'm going to be playing for the Browns. I think this week I'm going to do well, so I'm going to play for the Steelers. Exactly, I'm not biased or anything. I'm not a Steelers fan, folks. You don't see that kind of flip-flopping at any other level, really. So, yeah, I don't think that was necessarily been heavily abused in the past, but it's something that could have been, I think.
No, but it's something that kind of inflates some teams that maybe didn't really earn the spot because they just got it they just got a pity score from another player.
Hey,
So
can we get this on the record? Is there a number or size requirement maximum for a team? Can you have as many people as you want on your team?
Currently, there is not. You can have as many people as you want because the only limit is ITC, the limit of 10 scores, and only I believe 3 of them can come from one player.
Okay.
Yeah. So the team score is the top 10 scores and no more than 3 from a single player. So
which is why some of those players would give a score to a different team, because if their score is not better than the 3 scores they already have, they would just give the score to like a buddy's team or whatever. So now you can't do that. All the scores have to be for the team that you're on.
So I have shocking news, folks. I kind of knew of some of these things ahead of time. So I had talked to a few players to get some questions, and one of the main questions was, how did you determine what team you're on each season? Is it the first event that you score with a team name? Is that the team you're on for the whole season, or is there a different way to determine that?
For me, if I'm looking at it, it would be basically the team you put the most scores on. So if I see like 3 scores for Team A and then all of a sudden 1 or 2 scores for Team B, I'm assuming you're on Team A.
Okay, so it's whoever you have the majority of your scores on.
Yeah.
So if you switch out to a minority team, that's going to get
it'll probably get flagged.
So if you, for instance, played for a team all this season, only had like 1 score, and then you start playing for another team for the rest of the season, now that you know these rules, you wouldn't. Your score wouldn't be, all your scores wouldn't be locked to that first team.
Correct.
Okay, so
as the season goes on and people get more scores, they'll.
The point is, listeners, if you are surprised by this news, or perhaps you are like, I just goofed around and played on a different team earlier this year, but that's not who I meant to play with all season, you still have the chance to change. It's not locked in, written in stone. Adam is not going to come to your house and take your models away. I promise you.
Kicker wants me to and pays for my airfare. I could.
Okay, well, Kicker.
Yes.
It's on the table.
Let's not do that.
I'm not saying it's off the table.
Let's not do that, man. I think it's bad for the community. Okay. Chat, if you have any specific ITC questions, please feel free to share them. But I know that there's been a subject that we wanted to talk about with Adam, and Kicker is actually quite interested in talking.
Okay, you're putting me on the spot here. So it's a very delicate subject. So Adam, feel free to just tap out if you want to. But what are your thoughts on? Let's just be straight up with it. Bad apples, community members, players that need to maybe not participate in some events because they're constantly been on record for causing issues. So whether cheating or just causing issues, inappropriate behavior.
So there's it's actually a long answer, which we probably don't have time for. But there, like for example, we had where I'm in the Pasadena, LA area. We had someone for a long time that was a bad apple, and not that he necessarily like overtly cheated, but he did a lot of little things that people would like catch, and he what ended up happening was he was causing people not to go to the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where like, hey, if this guy's going or going to be there, I'm just not going to go.
Yeah.
So that the TO at the time, because it wasn't me, had to talk to him and say, listen, man, you're nobody wants to play you, or nobody wants to play here because of you. So you can't come here anymore.
Yeah.
That's one way and he stopped showing up.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, these are, assuming it's a store owner, it's his business, and some states have the right to refuse, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
But we do want to foster a community that's very welcoming. But of course, then there are people that are just legitimately cheating or just causing problems,
Yeah.
I'm going to just kind of spin this around, though. This is a little interesting. There's not only, bad apples necessarily when it comes to players. There's very few, right? There's very few in general. Every single player I've ever played against has been, awesome. But every now and then,
that makes me feel so much better considering
right? You're pretty awesome, Seth. You're pretty awesome. But like, we also, we want the players to be welcoming, but we also want the TOs to be welcoming. I know, Adam, you talked to me in private about somebody that. A TO that was not very welcoming towards you, and I know that right. You told me, sorry, maybe we shouldn't bring that up, but I also know that there are. Let's just put it this way, guys. It's a very small community, people, we know everything, right? It's a fact. Everyone talks. Everyone knows the communities. Some TOs might not be welcoming or might even be blacklisting players because they're supporting other people's events or whatnot. Though they're not fostering a very positive community. We want our community to grow and grow and grow, and we don't really think about what you're doing, because I don't think it's good for people to get bullied or get blacklisted because they participate in another person's event. With all that being said, we can't stop people from doing what they want, but think about the community, guys. We're all friends here. We all,
Sorry, I'm just struggling with the concept of
I
run an event, Kicker runs an event.
Yeah.
You went to Kicker's event. Yeah. Therefore, I won't let you come to my events in the future.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And
that is,
I know, right? And it's really
that's what you're talking about. That's what you're talking about.
That's very close to home for me right now.
Yeah, I know. No,
this is so dumb.
It's
why?
Really sad, guys.
How does that help anyone? That doesn't help me as the TO because I have less players coming to my events, and unless it's like a problem player, like we're talking about, like if you're kicking out players from your events, there eventually comes a point where people are like, oh, well, like half my friends aren't going, I don't want to go. Or, oh, that really good player that I wanted to have a chance to try to play a game against, they're not going to be there or whatever. Like,
or like, hey, this
you're
guy's
hurting your event
and I won't let him come over to, it gets, it's there are a few cases out there, but like I said, the community is very small. We know what's going on. Don't try to fracture or hurt the community. We're all over this hobby. We should all be able to play at each other's events.
In the end of the day, we aren't that big of a community.
No, we're not.
We can't be fractured. We're not. We can't. We can't. A house divided will not stand, folks.
Exactly. Yeah. So guys, I mean, don't tarnish your own reputation by looking like a non.
So we did have a somewhat topical question here in chat from Cyberfox Studios. They said, hypothetically, if they are a TO and they have a problem player, how would they report that to the ITC? Is that through? Yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Yeah. So like Kicker mentioned, and with me, it was a problem. It wasn't even a problem TO. So there's like three people that can be problems. There's the TO, there's the player, and then there's the owner.
The store owner.
Probably the hardest part to like settle because it's the owner of a store. And like Kicker said, he can refuse service. You can report either one of them. So if you have a problem player, TO, or owner, especially if they want to run like big events or ITC events, currently, before I would tell you to go to a regional rep, you can probably talk to a regional rep in regards to what to do, and they might be able to help you without having to go that next level. If not, then you may have to email the ITC token email that I mentioned earlier in order to
get what you need on record.
To get it on record and have them talk to them, because the regional rep can talk to the owner or player or TO. But now, because of the way it's structured, they don't have as much pull as they did before. Mm-hmm. So now you'd have to go to the email address and have them talk to them, because they have they have a bit more pull in what they can do to kind of influence that person in order to not
on record and got it down and things are more formally are done through a more formal process. So
because like I mentioned before, they're actually pretty responsive to the tokens and even to issues, because like Kicker mentioned, I did have an issue with an owner and that was resolved through the email, and it resolved within like a week.
All right. Well, we have some more questions later. They're not ITC related. They're more random related. So we'll save them.
They're like, why does it Adam eat cereal? Sorry.
You're not going to like the cereal related questions.
No. All right. Okay.
You're not going to
take it away.
You're not going to like it. So let's get into the competitive news. GW announced it this week in their Meta Watch article that next week is the balance data slate, which should be a rebalancing of a number of armies. This is kind of my editorial moment. I literally didn't tell you guys what I'm saying. The meta's not been in a great place, folks.
What are you talking about?
I know, shocking, right?
What?
When the balanced data slate system was proposed, there was a community poll, and people were like, how often do you want balance updates? Once a month, every 3 months, every twice a year, once a year, whatever. And I've heard from a lot of sides of this argument. And some people say 3 months is too much, that too much is getting changed too often. And if they're a more casual player, they're playing more narrative games, that it's too much for them to keep up with. Versus if you're in the competitive scene, the general sentiment is 3 months seems like a long time to have something broken.
I voted for a month, by the way.
Yeah. And the concerns I heard from the month argument is, can GW produce good balancing content every month, or is it just going to become Band-Aid, 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 Band-Aid? So there's a lot riding on this first update. I think I've seen folks leave the game. I've seen folks step away from playing tournaments. I've seen folks pick up other game systems. There's a lot riding on this. I don't expect GW to hit 100% home run this go around. I think that's a little unrealistic for something that we haven't seen in this edition. We haven't seen them doing many balance updates. I think they got to get this though like 90% right. I think they've got to knock down like 80-90% of the problems and potentially buffing some of those armies that are lagging behind to get the community, and myself included, to believe that this system is going to work going forward. Because I can tolerate 3 months of something being out of balance if I know in 3 months when that next data slate drops, it's going to get addressed. If big things make it through this and don't get balanced soon, it's going to make me really hesitant to believe in the system in the future. So that was my hot take on it. I don't know how much either of you two want to chime in on that. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm really hopeful. I want to see them earn the community's trust back.
I mean, GW is committed to competitive play, match play. There's no doubt about it.
They released an organized play kit basically for stores, to get prize support for stores.
So, I mean, Seth, of course, I would love for this to be the perfect solution. This data slate, they're still getting, it's still relatively new, this concept, right?
Yeah.
So I think I have a little more grace than you. I do know the team is dedicated. They're working hard.
I know the team as well, and I know they're working hard.
Yeah.
That's my feeling from the community standpoint.
Yeah. No, I think that, I mean, I won't speak for them, but I think that they're going to do their damnedest. And if things aren't perfect on this data slate, I believe they could go in and maybe do a few little touch-ups if necessary. But the team is there. They are listening, which is great. GW is more involved with the community than they ever have before.
Mm-hmm.
They have their events as well. So I think they're in tune. I think they know what's going on. I don't think that they're like oblivious. I think they're really good. So let's give them a shot, guys. Let's see how this data slate rolls out. What about you, Adam? What are you thinking, man?
I'm with Seth in regards to, like, they're not going to get everything, but if they hit the major points at the very least for now, I'll be more than satisfied, probably.
Yeah, if they tone down the obvious, like, tone down Harlequins, tone down Tau, tone down Custodes, and throw some stuff in to boost up those factions that are struggling, that aren't going to get a book anytime soon.
Yeah. That's part of the issue. We talked about this on our show where GW needs to, like, raise up, not just keep changing points and everything.
Oh, so that's an interesting. So Adam, do you think that maybe we can all agree that they probably need to tone down Harlequins a little bit, at least as Lord Reavers. But do you think that a little, all right, a significant amount? Do you think that the real I guess objective should be just to increase everyone else? Like, I mean, I never thought about that, like reversing it. Like,
I mean, balance. Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it. Like the last balance where they gave, like, Necron units core, things like that. Like, they need to raise, like, all the other, and John can say this better than I can, but they need to raise all the other factions and not just rely on adjusting points to
John
do it.
did a very good article. Actually, someone I know on Discord did a tier list based on win percentages, breaking down into brackets of a percentage, and there you could see this massive gap between the top 3 and the bottom. And John talked about in his article, you can't just keep knocking things down to the bottom. You've got to raise that lower group up to try to narrow that gap.
Oh, that's genius. Yeah.
So anyway, that's the data slate editorial, folks. Let's get into our competitive rankings. Then we'll get to your we'll call it potpourri of questions that were sent in.
Jeez,
Yeah,
these
like
fancy
potpourri.
words we're using tonight.
Well, I don't know how else to describe the mix I got. Anyway, for the 40K competitive track this week, we have a new number 1. It is Ryan Snyder.
Oh, congratulations, man.
Ryan Snyder hopped into the first place slot, followed closely by Manny Chima. Manny is back to that second place slot. He is nipping at Ryan's heels. So Manny is making a good run of it.
He's spamming away to get to the number 1 spot.
Hey, Manny has a very specific play style, and I myself can't run as many things like that as he can, but
I'm sure he watches the spam episode of Monty Python all the time.
Hey, whatever it takes to win, right?
Hey, he's all about that. So number 3 is our friend Quentin Johnson, number 4 Matt Robertson, and number 5 Joseph Gillespie. And for fun fact, folks who watched the Cherokee stream may have heard that Quentin agreed to change his hair color to Art of War blue, having lost to Jack Harps from the top tables. I have confirmation that this week Quentin has finally made good on that promise and changed his hair color.
Can we get a photo of Quentin? We need a photo of Quentin on this.
You're gonna have to send a photo in for proof. But I've spoke to him and he said he has re-dyed his hair. So good to hear. On the hobby track front, number 1 is Jamie Pirazzolo, number 2 Morgan Tempe, and number 3 Eric Mullins, number 4 Jacob Thayer, my orc brother, and number 5 Linton Rowan. Moving on to AOS competitive track. This is the awkward part where I get to tell everyone that Andrew, the AOS judge, sent me lists of pronunciations for all of these guys, and then I forgot them. So I'm going to butcher them anyway, Andrew. Sorry. Number 1 is Matt Nagusin. Number 2, Robert.
It's Newison. You don't pronounce that. You don't pronounce a G.
Listen, Adam.
Thank you.
I didn't bring you on here for color commentary on my pronunciation abilities.
Well, you said you forgot the pronunciation cheat sheet, so I'm just trying to help.
All right, fine. Number 2 is Robert Snyder, which I again contend is just Ryan Snyder attending AOS events.
No, it's Robert Snyder. Snyder's like the pretzels, by the way. Sorry, let's keep on going. I'm hungry. I'm
is
really
that
hungry.
Not the same spelling?
It's
the same spelling.
It is the same.
Number 3, James West. No relation to Adam West that I know of. Number 4, Levin Sichanava, and number 5, Gavin Gregar. Moving on down to the hobby track for AOS. Number 1 is Tim Ham. Number 2, Carl Rohr. Number 3, Russ Tanner. Number 4, Chris Miller. And number 5, Matt Abbott. That is your ITC recap for the week. I am now pulling up the community questions. But chat, if you've got any questions, hand them on in.
Yeah, we have Adam, one of the Frontline Gaming judges, on air. So if you have any questions in chat, directly
don't ask me rules
now,
questions.
This question actually dovetails nicely into our discussion on balance. This comes from Stephen from Newington, Connecticut. Without creating community written rules or missions, and I think he basically means community comp, is there anything that the competitive circuits can do to help balance or influence rules? And then the thing goes off the screen. Give me a second. Rules writers to skew towards more balanced rules. So basically, without comp, is there a way for us as a competitive community to balance the game?
If it is, it's hard. The issue with, especially with GW rules writers, is they don't communicate directly with the community. That's both good and bad, because there's other game systems that do that, and it's been kind of a mixed bag when they allow the community to dictate a rule set. War Machine's a big example of that with their I know the initial CIS, but I forget what it means. Mm-hmm. I don't know if there is. I'm not a big fan of comp. I remember playing it back in the day, whether it was fantasy or 40K, the different comp systems. What ends up happening is you get competing comp systems. Unfortunately, because of the relationship ITC has with GW and what some of the other major tournaments have with GW, it's harder for them to create some type of comp system or some type of balance in for them, because then people would latch onto it and it changes the game fundamentally. So without directly talking to them, it's really hard to like get some type of balance outside of doing a comp system.
Copying questions out of chat because chat came alive.
Chat is firing a lot of questions away. But guys, remember, I think the goal, I mean, maybe not short term, but the long term goal, right, is to all play the same game. I mean, that's kind of awesome.
Ideally, yes.
Ideally, that's the dream, right? Oh, okay, Seth, we're getting some questions here. You wanna?
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm copying.
Adam, I'm gonna shoot this one real fast. What would you change to balance custodies? Just really fast, like just knee-jerk reaction.
I put them back to the points they originally were.
Oh, there we go. Boom. Easy peasy. Boom. We just solved the problem right there. Well done, Adam.
I don't know if it solves the problem because we never got to play with them with their original point values.
It's true.
Good point.
They were changed before we even got them in a major tournament.
Yeah. Good point. Seth, you want to take the next question?
I'm still getting them out of chat.
Okay. I will take the next question that I got right here. Okay. Is there any way that Lords of War and Flyers can be made viable again in the current rules list or set, I guess?
I think there are some Lords of War build. I've heard great things about the Tau Triple Storm Surge build. I really want to play it, but I don't have any Storm Surges, let alone 3 of them. So I think there are certainly some armies that can play them. Flyers are real interesting with them being limited to 2, because you can't build an army around 2 models, so it has to be like a utility piece.
Yeah. And I think that's good for the game, right? I mean, it was getting kind of annoying to see, some armies with 6 flyers on the board, 6, 7 flyers.
I think the thing that hurts, and Adam, jump in here, Lords of War, is if you take the super heavy auxiliary, you don't get your sub-faction benefits.
Yeah, I think if they allow that would help immensely, actually, for things like Knights.
So check it out, guys. Guess what's coming soon? We know, Knights are coming soon, and that might change some of those rules interaction. I mean, I have no idea. I legitimately have no idea. But that all of a sudden some new interactions could be there for these Lord of Wars. And plus, we also know Guard are going to be rolling out with their, Bane Blades eventually. So we'll see how Lord of Wars are.
I mean, like, just from an orc standpoint, like my Gorkanauts and Morkanauts are now Lords of War, and it's like, well, if I want to take them and I want them to have the benefits of the clan, I have to take 3 of them, and that's a big chunkier list versus a small chunkier list, so that's something to keep in mind. That I would like to see that. Okay. What % of the community would need to use a specific comp for the ITC to adopt it as standard?
100.
Yeah, I mean,
I mentioned before, the problem with doing a community comp is the fact that the major tournaments have a relationship with GW, and GW does not want any change to the game, essentially.
Yeah. So it would take a monumental number.
It's harder than it used to be. Let's put it that way.
I'm going to regret asking this afterwards. You can yell at me afterwards, Adam, but I can't ignore it. Why does GW not engage with the community on a real level instead of telling us to take more autocannons? It's a tough question.
Tough question,
To be honest, it's a corporate culture for GW. They've always been like that. I've been playing since Rogue Trader, and at one point they were a bit more involved with the community, and that was early days before Facebook, when they had their own forum. And then it got to the point where it got so toxic, they just shut everything down and closed everything off, basically. Yeah. So it's something they've done, and they've always done. So it's nothing new to me anyway. I know it seems, because especially compared to other games, but you have to remember that GW is more almost like a real company, and other game companies are almost like a hobby for those people.
Yeah. I think it's important to remember, and this is no shade on GW, but Warhammer Community is their own publication. It's not going to represent the game in a bad light. It's going to always try to have a positive spin. That's why I'm very hopeful to see the balanced data slate. If that engages with the competitive community and we see significant changes in balancing in that will make me believe that they're engaging with the competitive community on that more fundamental level.
I also think the meetings and stuff that Mike is doing at the different large events and GW events is part of them reaching out and communicating with everybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
that's like your direct. That's you're talking to Mike right there directly, face to face. They did it at LVO, they did it at Adepticon.
yeah.
That's a really great opportunity to get your voice heard, and they're taking notes.
Yeah, and Mike's not a rules writer, but I mean he has contact with them, and there was Adepticon, I want to say 2018, where one of the Robert Cruddens was actually at LVO
he was also
Nova. He was at Nova.
That
he was
year,
at Nova, and he did have a notebook taking notes. So when they do go, they'll because nobody knows what they look like. They'll sometimes walk around.
You'll enjoy this story, Adam. This is a tangent. This is a story tangent time, guys. That was back in the era where charges were only measured horizontal distance, and but deep strikes were true distance. So someone deep struck a Blood Angel Smash Captain on top of a center L at Nova, which was 12 inches tall, so it could deep strike there. But then it had a 1-inch charge horizontally to make its charge, and Robin saw that and was like, "You can't do that." And the guy showed him in the book, and he was like, literally at the end of that round, they made an announcement that no one can put models on top of the L's. They were like, immediately, now we're stopping this. This is not a thing anymore.
So they go to events and they see some of the armies that are being played, and we have a story about them looking at Taudar, and not realizing that you could do that with the army in 7th edition. So,
all right. Other questions? Let's go to some not so crunchy ones. Will Kicker buy a new camper van next year?
No, I buy one every 2 years, so I have to wait another year.
Yep.
No, I'm not.
Now back to some business questions to keep you engaged here, Kicker. Will pre-printed terrain be available to ship to Canada soon?
I think you can. I don't want. This is really Frankie's world, and I don't want to misspeak, but I'm pretty sure you can order these right now, right? I mean,
he said the comment is from Jace from Canada. Says I tried ordering last week and was told we do not ship to Canada.
Oh wow! Well, the problem is you just got to move to the U.S. right now.
Wow!
Or know somebody across the border.
Yeah, I know, right? Or know somebody across the border. No,
like our tech priest might be VPNing.
Yeah, right. I'm
from a Canadian location, so I wouldn't piss off Canada right now.
Yeah, no. We love our Canadians. I think that the problem is, you know what? I'm not going to misspeak. I'm not the one running the web cart. I will make sure I discuss with them first.
Who should they contact, Kicker?
I mean, you can always contact orders at frontlinegaming.org, and that goes directly to the whole team running the web cart. But I'm going to speak with them tomorrow, saying like, why aren't we shipping to Canada? Because you can order normal product and have it shipped to Canada, right? Can't you? I mean, I
don't know. Yeah, this is a pre-submitted question, so I don't know if Jace is live with us.
Okay. But I do know with the terrain in particular, the full color set of terrain, that's in such limited quantities right now. I just don't think we want to deal with shipping if we don't have to overseas. Same with the tables. Shipping tables is logistically complicated.
I think Canada has had a knee-jerk reaction, Kicker, to your belittling of their country.
Oh no!
And Alex from Vancouver has submitted a question, and it's not really a question, more of a statement. It just says, "Cereal is not food."
Oh, oof. Hitting me where it hurts, people. Thank you. I am and our wonderful Canadian tech priest just turned me purple on air or red. I don't know. I am shifting colors. I'm a chameleon of awkward colors. I appreciate it. So no, I legitimately love Canada, guys. I really do. I just I don't know why we don't ship to Canada. That really actually hurts my feelings. So first thing in the morning, I will be talking to the web team saying, hey, why can't we ship to Canada? I know, like, there's a lot of Canadians that want the FLG tables too. Like, I think I'm just gonna have to bootleg.
Look, you've been recolored.
I've been recolored. Thank you for getting. I'm backing Canadians. Canada's great. No, I think we might just have like a bootleg, like an entire container worth of tables just across the border, and just show up at our tech priest. Probably should not say that on air, right? Yeah, let's not say that. Moving right along.
As a judge, how do you stay up to date other than just reading the codexes?
Answering the FAQ questions for each event actually helps.
Like, I didn't realize that was a problem. Let me go look that up.
I am a part of a number of different like competitive Facebook groups, Discords, playing in different leagues, things like that. Just being a part of the community and just hearing and different parts of the community across the country, especially. I hear about these, these rules questions, rules issues, these combos that are cropping up, things like that, and that helps.
So you're just staying involved with a bunch of different communities, and that's how you're
Basically,
getting your info on what the problem points
Adam,
are.
I see you in the FLG, like the private FLG, staff judge chat, and like you guys are such a great, team, right? Like one of you might not know the answer, but another one can give you the answer, their experience, and you guys will work really, really well together. We're really fortunate to have you guys.
Next question. This was submitted earlier. I can't remember. I think it might have been Mark Jackson who submitted it. What should I expect from my first tournament?
Ooh, I mean, just
pain.
Pain. Oh, come on.
He said I'm not expecting to do well, so
okay.
You were right there,
I'm just quoting the movie line.
Okay. I don't think you should go to a tournament. I mean, listen, you can do whatever you want, but I find going to a tournament, like if you try to set this benchmark of I have to win like 3 games out of my 5, like that's setting you up just to, get a little stressed out. I think you should just try and do as good as you can in each game, regardless if you win that game. Get as many points as you can, or make sure you don't get tabled, whatever is your metric. But trying to set something hard, like I have to win 3 out of my 5 rounds, gets a little unpleasant. If
if it's your first tournament, just go have fun and try to learn.
Yeah. So the first tournament I went to in like 8th edition, I went in with the concept I'm gonna dark horse this thing. No one knows I'm coming. I'm gonna go 3-0.
I see you, Seth.
And I went like I can't even remember if I won a game at that tournament or not. But I know I got ruffle stomped round 1 by a Chaos Demon list. But out of that tournament, I made a group of friends that within a month I was traveling to events in the Southeast with. They're my friends to this day. I love them dearly. Like I immediately found a community of friends that I did not know or have before all of that. And so
that's a really good point.
That is immediately what I got out of the tournament. So yeah, I would say just go and be willing to meet people. And like, I don't want to say get into cars with strangers because that's what I did. And it probably wasn't the best idea. I may have had to message my wife and be like, if I don't show up in a certain number of hours, I'm dead in the ditch in Mississippi.
But
if someone's like, hey, you want to come to dinner? Like, go along with them because who knows? Like, my best man, or my wife called him our best maid of honor because he was both a groomsman and he wasn't a bridesmaid, but he might as well have been. My buddy Brian. I met him like just randomly. My friend, one of my other friends was like, hey, this guy Brian, I think you're gonna like him. He's kind of cool, and like we're great friends this day. I'm staying with him Friday. So yeah, you never know who you're gonna.
You might just make your best friend right at these tournaments. It's weird.
Kicker. Where did we meet?
Are we friends now? Or are we close to?
Like, yeah, we're friends now. Kicker, but where did we meet?
But let's just. I mean, let's just look at this from a very just purely logical point of view, right?
Yeah.
If you play 40K, that's a very particular demographic. There's a lot of dedication. It's not like something like you're just picking up and playing for an afternoon. Like there's a lot of dedication. So for somebody to play 40K, you've already got a lot in common. You put a lot of hours into the same exact geeky niche hobby that this other person does. So most likely you're already going to be pretty capable of getting along with, I'd say, the majority of the people at that tournament.
This was a setup for you to be like, Seth, we met when at a tournament.
Oh yeah, we met at a tournament, Seth. You kicked my butt too. We played. I remember. I took my orcs. I mean, no, I took my knights.
I had orcs, and you had knights and guard.
Yeah, I had knights and guard, and you. I'm like, I knew you were like you'd play one of my friends earlier at the tournament. I'm like, crap, I'm going against this guy. First of all, he could eat me, and second of all, I know he's like legitimately really good. But let's just make it happen. And I had such a good time. You were like laughing and made me feel really comfortable.
This is the best quote ever from G6 Branch. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only friendship.
I want that as a sticker. We're making that as an official FLG.
All right, last question for the night. In tournament play, how do they decide the terrain layouts? Is it mainly meta focused, or do you think more tournaments go for balance for shooting and fighting based on terrain?
I mean, I think this is an Adam question.
It's hard to say nowadays because people tend to be in 2 camps at this point. One is player optimized placement, which is what FLG uses. The other one is the GW version of terrain, which is I think it's 4, 8, 10 pieces, and
it's a fixed deployment.
And that one's fixed, and you can only play certain missions on there, or they only play certain missions on those fixed.
Yeah. So go ahead. I think I got you off there, Adam.
Oh, I was just gonna say, but there are still places that will place when I used to place terrain because I like player places, I don't have to deal with it. I always worried about like, is there enough terrain? Is there enough terrain first? Is there enough so units can hide second, and enough so that it makes it that you can't even shoot at anything. So it's a balance between all of that. If you're not using any of the other systems,
Yeah, the other major system would be WTC, but that's also a predefined. I think you basically have two camps. You have predefined terrain and player placed of some variety. I know Adepticon also use a player placed system.
Yeah,
we don't talk about Adepticon.
We don't talk about it. I actually had a very lengthy and I wouldn't say heated, but we were energetic in our discussion about this terrain topic with Anthony Vanella, who is now on Art of War and on the Best Tabletop Network.
I thought he was on your team.
He was on my team. And then 2 days later, he joined Art of War.
Oh, man, I'm sorry.
2 days after I joined his team, after he convinced me to join his team. 2 days.
On your team? Wow.
And let's be real here for a minute. If you're about to join Art of War, they didn't walk up to you like on a Tuesday and you were like, I'm signing on the dotted line on Wednesday. Like, he knew that crap was coming. Anyway, I'm not bitter. You're bitter.
You're not bitter. Not at all.
He wants a singular terrain system. He wants the entire community to use one terrain system. He personally prefers the predetermined over player optimized.
So he's boring.
And my counter argument is I like multiple systems because it affects what armies are going to do well on that terrain system. And so if I go to an event right now in this meta with Harlequins and Tau and Custodes being the big three, and I'm not playing one of those factions, and I'm going to get clobbered, and the next event is the same terrain and the same top factions, and the event after that is the same terrain and the same factions, you get disincentivized. You feel like this is not fun. If there's things that are changing, back when we had multiple mission sets, or now we don't, we have a singular mission set, so we have multiple terrain types, that provides some variety. That makes me go, oh, well, in this terrain set, actually, I need to take an army with a smaller footprint, because like Adam was saying, I need to be able to hide my stuff, so I got to take a more elite army so I can hide easier, because this terrain system is going to be a little bit lighter versus, this other terrain system like WTC has like 16 pieces of terrain on each table.
Yeah,
it's a super
Tetris.
dense.
It's a Tetris
super
set.
dense. And you're like, okay, well, I can't take my big stuff. I can't take my Gorkanaut. He's not going to get anywhere. So I need to take a bunch of infantry that can move through crap. So that's what I enjoy, is the variety. So I think a lot of smaller events tend to reflect whatever the big events nearby are doing. So or
what they have in hand, right? Terrain's not cheap, and a lot of individual TOs and small stores don't have the ability to just change the terrain, overnight.
Yeah. So that was a good question. I really wanted to bring that topic up, mainly because now I get to have my argument on air, and I win. Therefore,
a one-sided argument.
So that means you win.
You win. In the words of my father, no one wins an argument with me. That has been bred into me, folks. Anyway,
well, I agree with you, Seth, only because it makes the game boring, and the formula to figure the game out is too easy.
Once someone cracks the code and makes the winning army, that's all you're going to see. At a bunch of events. There's no variety then. So blah.
Yeah.
So
and then you have an army with an 80% win rate, and you never see that now.
and that's the thing. Like right now, this complaint about this meta is in a system of varied terrain. If it was in a meta of just everything's the same everywhere you go, like good night. Like you would, the variety we see as is would become significantly less. So anyway.
Well, Adam, thank you so much for coming on, spending some time with us tonight.
Yeah. Adam, where can folks hear more from you if they enjoyed your content this evening?
If you like judge talk and general zaniness, we do a show called TFG Radio. That's about, we do it live on Twitch every other Thursday. Our next episode's probably next Thursday, next week. And that's usually about 8 o'clock, 8:30 Pacific. So it's a little late for East Coast, but that's all right.
Yeah, it is.
Because we also put it on podcast form. We also have a lore podcast called I forgot right now.
Pod Save the Imperium.
Pod Save the Imperium, which is basically a lore discussion podcast.
Yeah, I was just listening to their Tau Ethereal episode today.
Yeah, so we take certain elements of the fluff and discuss it as if it were like real. So
Sweet.
real
Yeah.
point
It's good.
counterpoint kind of
It's good,
discussion,
good discussion.
as opposed to just talking about it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
and then you can find me at every FLG event apparently. So.
basically, yeah. They have contracted him to come to everything. He doesn't have a choice. They just show up at his house and stuff him in a car.
Yeah. Very accurate.
It's pretty true. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us, Adam. Kicker, do you have any final thoughts for the night?
Guys, events are happening, and I can't wait to see you at the next one.
Yep. So we really hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Good night, guys.